and welcome to Wine, Whiskey, and Words. I'm Daniel.
I'm Brad.
If you've listened to our podcast before, welcome back. We're glad to have you with us again. If you're new, each episode we try to take a drink, talk about it, share a little bit of something about it if we know it. Then we talk about something interesting, and finally we talk about the topic we decided on the previous week. We do our best to prep and research. We try to be prepared. Sometimes we do a little better than others. Sometimes we have a little fun. Sometimes we get serious. But we hope you just enjoy the journey along with us. With that said, let's begin. And I have drink. And I want to say, as I began thinking about last week's topic, which was...
I don't remember. What was it? Oh, Fallen.
No. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh.
The topic Brad chose for this week, last week.
Oh, okay.
Which was...
Top 5 movies you've seen 5 times or more.
So, a movie came to mind that I'm not sure that I've seen the whole movie 5 times, but I've seen, because of when it came out, a certain scene in this movie 5 times.
Was it 9 to 5?
No, it was Charlie's Angels, the remake.
Yeah.
Where Cameron Diaz is dancing around in her Superman underoos.
Are you going to dance for us?
No, but I found out that Cameron Diaz owns a winery. And so I figured we'd have a little fun. We're going to do a tasting. I have Avaline organic. All her wines are organic and vegan, so there's no meat in this wine. I know there's more to veganism. Please don't get offended. Brad's vegan. I offend him all the time.
I don't give a fuck.
He's offended on your behalf. It's made with organic grapes. She doesn't add anything, no coloring, no anything. The story behind it is that she was talking to a friend, and they realized that there are very few labeling requirements in the United States on wine.
Right.
You can put whatever you want in it to a certain extent. You don't have to put it on the label. You don't have to say anything. And she didn't really love that. So she got into this wine thing, and we're actually going to do a little tasting.
Okay.
And so we have, in addition to the Sauvignon Blanc, we have a Rosé, which interestingly has a screw cap, while the others have corks. And then I opened a Pinot Noir. Brad tells me you don't need to pre-open it, but there we are.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pop the bottle on this. So Brad, talk about Cameron Diaz.
Oh, she's an actress. I was going to say, Something About Mary.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Great film.
But interestingly enough, in regards to wine, to add to what you were saying is, if you're drinking a Cabernet or a Pinot or a Barbera or anything like that, it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% of that grape to be called that grape. You could have 90% of that grape. I want to say, I believe it has to be at least 85% or more to be called that grape. But the more you know. Yeah.
I didn't know that until I met Brad. She does not really list the types of grapes or anything about what's in these wines. I'm sure if you asked, you would know. But it is nice. The label is very simple. The bottle says, taste crisp and fresh with notes of ripe citrus and rose petals. So it is free from added sugar, artificial colors, and concentrates. Pairs well with shared plates and easy conversation. So there you go.
Good. Now you're going to have to make me look, because when I was at the Cooper's Hawk home office, I remembered Emily Wines mentioning rose petals being the keynote of a certain grape, and I can't remember.
All right, well, hand me your small cat glass. We're using my wife's glassware, so please don't allow these to be broken. She will murder me. All right. So we're starting with the Sauvignon Blanc, mainly because this was the highest rated of her wines, and it was white.
So was this the one that you said had notes of rose petals?
Yeah, this one's crisp, fresh, with notes of ripe citrus and rose petals.
So interestingly enough, it was rose petals is a keynote of Gewürztraminer.
Okay.
That's why I was remembering that.
All right. Well, let's give her a smell.
Kind of got a little bit of like a musk.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's very peaty almost. Maybe not peaty. Yeah,
I get a heavy.
Yes.
pear I'm smelling.
You're going to taste some pear, too. Definitely get some pear.
Like a lot of pear.
I'm not going to... This is not my favorite. It's not my fave. Now, to be fair...
So you've only had one, and this is not your favorite.
Well, it's not my favorite wine in general. Like,
Okay.
Now, I'm not a big white wine drinker. So... But I've had white wines that I've liked a lot more. This is pretty dry. I think if we were sitting out in the sun, I might like it a little more. Now, this is from France, and I know that European wines are also more meant to be had with food. So it may be that we're not eating anything right now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not bad. This is I kind of equate wines with I'm gonna ask for it, I'm gonna drink it if it's put in front of me, or I'll ask for water instead. And this is I would drink it if it's put in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I hate this. It's just not my fave.
All right.
All right. Next up is the rosé. This one, again, vegan friendly, organic. Taste light and fresh with notes of melon and zest. Again, free from added sugar, artificial colors, concentrates. Pairs well with the warmth of the sun and the company of your best friend.
Oh my goodness.
This is a good one for us.
Is there a particular cat that I should choose for this one?
I'm going to let you go. Now, this is the screw cap one, which I'm always a fan of a screw cap because some people, man, they struggle with the
Your dexterity isn't the best.
My what?
Dexterity.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were talking about something else. This is a family-friendly podcast, Brad. All right. So we got the rosé. This is a very light-colored rosé, and it might be that she doesn't really add a lot of colorings to it or anything like that. But let's see how we like it.
So, in regards to rosé, that you can pretty much have anything as a rosé. It really just matters what the color is.
Yeah.
And you can alter the color of it based on how much of the skin of the grape that you put in there. And so you can have a rosé that's very sweet, that's very dry, and everywhere in between.
So I am loving the smell of this.
I get a lot of melon.
Cantaloupe.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Cantaloupe. Maybe a little bit of honeydew, but yeah, it's very heavy on the cantaloupe. This one definitely has a sweetness to it that the Sauvignon does not have.
It's getting a little bit more fruit forward, but it's still not sweet though.
No, it's not sweet at all. But
you get that melon note,
and it really carries through all the way. A lot of the time, I get like a smell that smells one way, and then a taste that's kind of going in a different direction. But this one, we're gonna do side by side now.
Yeah. So after drinking this one tastes to me kind of like almost like an unsweetened lemonade.
See, I get a little more apple taste on this, like a dry apple, or not dry apple, but a non-sweet apple.
Yeah.
I actually like this better after having the rosé, so I'm gonna get behind that. Let's take another sip of this, and then we're gonna jump into the Pinot Noir.
Yes.
Every time I drink a Pinot Noir, I think of the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt episode where I forget his name, but the actor is singing a song about Pinot Noir.
I need to see. I think I watched the first episode was on a plane, right?
No.
No, that was a different show.
No, that is a different show.
Oh, all right, whatever.
It's a great show. It's really goofy and fun.
There's a bit of smoke on this one.
Okay. Ooh, I like that. It's like got a spicy smell to it. Like you said, a little smoky.
Now the cherry's starting to come through.
Yeah.
Almost like a mild Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, it's very soft. Like there's no intensity to it at all, but it's really refreshing. I like it. I feel like this is almost like a hot weather red. Like, I don't love drinking reds when it's hot out, just because it just, But yeah,
you're a weird little fucker.
I am weird. I will admit it. But no, this is nice.
I'll drink reds anytime.
I struggle sometimes. The heat in Florida can kind of take it out of me, where I'm not in the mood unless I get in some ice cold air conditioning, and
yeah,
it doesn't take me long to get in the mood for a red. All right,
but this is enjoyable. I would continue with that.
Oh, I forgot to read the note on this one. Let's see what the note on this one says. Light-bodied with notes of wild raspberry and cherry, so you nailed it there. Pairs well with fading sunlight and your favorite song. We should have had this last week, Brad. But
my favorite song?
We talked about some songs.
Well, I know that, but
it was good. All right, so I'm going to get these in the shot so everybody can watch the bottles while we talk. All right, so let's move on.
All right.
Something interesting. Since I did the drink, you start with something interesting.
I just got back today from Key West.
Did you bring me that souvenir?
She declined to come back with me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Apparently she knows Jamie and
yeah, she knows better.
Yeah.
All right.
So my cousin invited me to spend a few days with him and the family and some of their friends, some of whom I've known for quite a while. I think I walked down the aisle. No, I walked down the aisle.
Well. The story comes out.
At their wedding with Maria. I can't remember, but Maria was there. Super, super nice person. But so I booked an Airbnb for myself. Stayed there for a few days. We went on a boat. We went to a bunch of restaurants. We celebrated my cousin's youngest daughter's 21st birthday.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a good time, and now I'm thinking about I might want to, even though it was hot as hell over there.
Yeah, Florida summers, man.
I'd love to go back there. We were talking about doing a cousin's trip. My cousin Adam, my brother, and myself, in doing that, and so I need to talk to my brother. Although if he listens to this, he'll hear about this before I actually talk to him.
Well,
but
just telegraph it over.
Yeah, but we were talking for years about doing some kind of a trip on a sailboat or something like that. But I think Key West is great, where we can just do whatever we want, and there's so many different options to do. There's lots of great street performers, like I've seen out in Los Angeles. It was a great time.
That's awesome, man. Well, my something interesting is just something I found fascinating. You don't think about things that are available out in the marketplace, but in America, you can kind of buy, I guess not just America, you can kind of buy anything you can imagine. And I read an article the other day that a megachurch in Canada has closed down.
Yeah, you going to buy a megachurch?
Well, that would be, I'd probably get a good deal, because apparently the reason they have to close down is because they cannot get abuse liability coverage. Do you know what abuse liability coverage is?
I've got one question. Is this a Catholic church?
No, it is one of these non-denominational church for people who don't like church. And
okay,
which every time I've been to one of those, it's like a big concert, which I mean, draws the people in. But yeah, basically, abuse liability coverage is molestation insurance, and
I didn't know that.
That is a thing, and apparently quite common in churches that they get it, and the church has shut down because now they've had some problems clearly, but I did not know that existed. I am terrified that it does.
I had no idea,
and I find that deeply disturbing. But I thought that was interesting, worth noting, and you can take away from that what you will. Brad, this is your topic. I'm going to let you take the lead.
Wow. Okay, so the topic that I chose for this week was the top 5 movies you've seen 5 times or more. And when I originally thought of the topic, I was thinking of those movies that I've loved over the years, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, and such. But I thought, you know what? Those are very easy to pick. And so I thought, you know what? I really want to choose some movies for myself that I really love, and that most of them aren't quite as mainstream.
Okay.
So, rule of thumb: if I pick a movie, Daniel's not able to pick it. If Daniel picks a movie, I'm not able to pick it.
Fair.
So, what I'm going to also do is I'm going to go ahead and read a little synopsis of a movie that I pick. I'll tell you a little bit about it. First of all, when COVID happened and I was living in Jacksonville, the local independent movie theater, Sunray, allowed us to book movies in there. So we had maximum of like 30 people, I think.
You could like request your own movie at a movie theater?
Yeah, but it was
Wow.
like about $450 or $500, and then you had to have a certain amount of food purchased as well.
Okay,
which wasn't difficult. So I ended up doing it, and this is the movie that I chose. The synopsis I will read for you right now. In 2005, average in every way, Private Joe Bowers is selected to take part in a secret military experiment to put him in hibernation for a year, along with a woman named Rita. The slumbering duo is forgotten when the base they are stored on is closed down and are left in stasis until 2505. When they finally wake up, they discover the average intelligence of humans has decreased so much that Joe is now the smartest man in the world. The movie is
Idiocracy.
That is correct.
That is a great film. Great choice.
It's a great film. It's directed by Mike Judge. Stars Luke Wilson, Maya Rudolph, Dax Shepard, Terry Crews, David Herman, who is more famous for being on Mad TV, Justin Long, Stephen Root, among many others. Stephen Root in the movie was the judge. He's also very well known as being on news radio as Jimmy, the owner of the station. He's also well known. He's almost like a master of disguise, because if you know him, Stephen Root, as the judge there, as Jimmy from news radio, you wouldn't necessarily recognize him as my stapler. They took my stapler from Office Space.
Yeah.
So Idiocracy is just a great movie. Which, funny thing is it's made 20 years ago, but it really typifies where we are now as far as reality television having really put its foothold, and I think it's the dumbing down of America.
Well, a funny note about that, is I read this the other day. Apparently, Crocs were just like becoming a thing, and if you look at the footwear in this movie, they bought a bunch of Crocs because they were cheap.
They wanted to pick the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah, so they bought a bunch of Crocs. But my favorite part of this movie was Terry Crews playing the President of the United States. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to ruin the movie for you. But let me just say, he was such an iconic character that Fox has really fought to prevent this movie from being used, and this character from being used in any campaigns, because he was such a great character.
It was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And they really didn't want it. They put zero budget in to put the movie out there because they did not want the movie to be successful.
Yeah, and just so you know, we are sponsored by Brondo. It's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Oh man, great pick. I did not pick that. Which one you want? What do you want?
Pinot.
Pinot. All right.
Yeah, pour me the Pinot.
All right. Fill the time, Brad. Can't just have empty space. All right. Well,
I need love.
So now that I've poured some red, I'm going to start with my first movie, The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, okay.
This is a great movie. It was produced or released in 1990, and I remember watching this over and over and over with my dad. And just a great film. It's got action, not a ton, but it's based on a novel by Tom Clancy. And if you've ever read his novels, a lot of spy stuff. They generally center around the main character Jack Ryan, who at the time was played by Alec Baldwin. This was before he got old and fat. Um, hey, and it happens. It happens, Alec.
I wouldn't
It's
know.
cool. But anyway, it's just a great film. It's got Sean Connery in it, James Earl Jones, Sam Neill, who is an actor that you may not recognize the name, but if you see him, you're like, oh my god, that guy's in everything.
Law and Order, right?
No,
Isn't it? No.
no. But he's
Now
been
I
in a
gotta look.
lot of other movies. Directed by John McTiernan, who also directed Die Hard and Predator. I did not know that. But it has some
Oh, yes. Okay.
has some really good quotes. It centers around a submarine, a nuclear submarine, and at one point Jack Ryan is in the reactor room, and Sean Connery, the captain of the submarine, says, "Ryan, some things in here don't react well to bullets." And Ryan's mocking him later and says, like me, I don't react well to bullets. So it's one of my favorite movies. I highly recommend it if you have any interest in any kind of thriller, action, but it's not violent. It's just a really intriguing story. Lots of really good single lines, and it was, keep in mind, it's from when we were still at Cold War with Russia. So it's a highly anti-Russian sentiment, but it's a great film.
So interestingly enough, some years back when the things came about from what Sean Connery said in regards to women, we've gotten many different actors who, while we appreciate the work, we don't appreciate the person that they revealed themselves to be. And so I actually had someone that unfriended me on Facebook because, R.I.P. Sean Connery.
Wait, he died? No, I'm serious. Like he's dead?
This is like 7 years ago.
I'm really like, so just
Okay.
so everybody has a little background, I thought until just a few years ago that Lou Diamond Phillips was River Phoenix. And if you don't know, River Phoenix died a long time ago. So yeah, I am not good with names. I'm not good with faces. I'm not really good
true.
with keeping up with anybody, including myself.
But
so
you do know who Sean Connery is, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So yeah, while I don't really want to support those whose morals don't align with my own, I can still appreciate what they've done in the past and how it makes me feel when I watch something.
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you for just
Yes.
a moment? Brad, are you allowed to show what pops up on your screen from time to time? Are you allowed? I mean, is this
Yeah.
safe? So every once in a while, I look over and Brad's iPad screen pops up.
Yeah. So
And it's this baby.
that is my cousin Jillian.
And
Her daughter Bliss, who she's a lot older than that right now.
And she's absolutely adorable.
But that's my favorite picture that I ever took of her.
And she has this look of just wide-eyed surprise like babies often do. And so when Brad is saying something and I glance over and his screen lights up and it's this baby's face going, oh,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's all right.
I
That's all right.
derailed you there, but
going back, we can, even though we may not agree with something someone does, we can appreciate what they've done in the past, and it bringing us to where we were when we first saw it. If that makes sense.
No, I think it kind of makes sense, and I want to come full circle to that, but we're going to do it at the end of this episode. So, next up, Brad.
Crap, I gotta pick another one.
Oh,
I had a tough time with these. All right.
While he's figuring that out, I want to say
Yeah.
these wines get better as you drink more of them. So if you get a bottle, don't judge it by that first glass. Have a couple more.
I do like the rosé.
Yeah, the rosé is delightful. I think of the three, this is probably my favorite. Great hot day wine.
All right. I think for my next one, Rob Gordon is the owner of a failing record store in Chicago where he sells music the old-fashioned way, on vinyl. Although they have an encyclopedic knowledge of pop music and are consumed by the music scene, it's of no help to Rob, whose needle skips the love groove when his longtime girlfriend Laura walks out on him. As he examines his failed attempts at romance and happiness, the process finds him being dragged, kicking and screaming, into adulthood. This is probably it's between this and Grosse Point Blank. It wavers between which one is my favorite. I do love Grosse Point Blank, but High Fidelity I've seen more times.
Fantastic film. Fantastic film.
It's directed by Stephen Frears. It stars John Cusack, Eben Higelji. I can't pronounce that. By the way, for the longest time, I didn't realize it was her that was playing the part of his girlfriend. It was, oh my god. I'm gonna look up her name right now. I thought it was Robin Wright.
Okay.
Because they looked very similar. It also stars Todd Luiso, Jack Black, Lisa Bonet, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Joan Cusack, Tim Robbins, and just so many more. It's just delightful on so many different levels, where they're categorizing the records and talking about how he does it by date or by what happened to him during his life.
And he kept recategorizing them, right?
Yes, yeah. And revisiting different things going on in his life, and revisiting what went wrong with his different relationships. It was just it's just a fun movie, and I never get tired of it.
Okay. Very good pick. So far, we have not overlapped at all, so I think we're on a roll. My next film is what I think of as probably the and I hope we're allowed to call people this still. I don't know the rules, but I think it's one of the sexiest films ever made.
Is it The Never-Ending Story?
Yes. That big imaginary dragon thing.
Oh, wait.
What was it called?
Wait, hold on.
What was it called?
Are you talking about this movie?
No, it's not that one.
Oh, okay.
So, in 1990, they remade an old film called The Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh, okay.
And this version, again, John McTiernan from Hunt for Red October,
right.
Predator, Die Hard. He directed this one. The cast is Pierce Brosnan, who I do think the ladies would agree, most of them at least, pretty sexy. And oh my God, Rene Russo. Woo! I was in love. I was very much in love with.
She was also in Lethal Weapon 2, I think it was.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
So, but there's a scene where she is dancing in a dress that is just, woo. Anyway, get chills. But it also has Dennis Leary. He's a police officer. But basically, Thomas Crown is a rich playboy who gets bored, and I'm not going to give too much away, but a painting is stolen, and Rene Russo's character is assigned as an insurance company representative to find who stole the painting, or find the painting itself. And she's chasing Thomas Crown, and there's an affair that ends up happening, and there's a great scene. Like I said, Rene Russo is in this very sheer dress, They go to this ball, and he's with her. And at one point, he just looks at her and goes, "Do you want to dance, or do you want to dance?" And then they start dancing. Like, I mean, it's a really sexy movie, full of twists and turns and just exciting things. Not a lot of action, a little bit, but just a really good. It's not a love story. There's not. It's more a lust story. But it's just a really good film. I think it's great. It's not porny.
Isn't it more like a spy kind of a thing?
There's a little bit of spy action to it. It's more like crime drama.
Okay.
But again, it's just a very unique story, unique film. I have actually never seen the entire first one, the original, because this one is so good. And there's a great scene. Dennis Leary, his best line. At one point, Rene Russo says she's okay. And Dennis Leary says, I was okay once. My girlfriend went out one night and came back. Married. I told everyone I didn't care. Then I effed 5 women in 3 days, flipped my car on an on-ramp, beat a suspect unconscious, got suspended, but I was okay. And I just think that's a great line. Great film. Highly recommended if you haven't seen Thomas Crown Affair.
That being said, you reminded me of one of my favorite movies that I completely forgot about. Sneakers.
I think I might have seen that once. I just haven't seen it. Yeah.
Sneakers had just the most fantastic cast. It had River Phoenix in it.
Oh.
And it dealt with this ragtag.
Not Lou Diamond Phillips?
No. It had this ragtag group of people who got together and were trying to... Oh, it's with... oh my God. One of the... I can't remember right now. But anyways, it's... they're recruited to do some kind of a project and get into some bad territory, but it was kind of like the A-Team if it was more CIA.
Okay.
And this is what happens when I have too much being
I know,
involved.
man, you're really slowing down there.
Yeah, I know. But it was I think it was Robert Redford.
Oh, I love some Robert Redford. He's a great guy.
I think he was in it. Just a fantastic. Oh, and oh my goodness, he played the Mandarin in.
Ben Kingsley?
Ben Kingsley was in
All
it.
right.
He played the evil guy in the movie.
Ben Kingsley is one of those actors who, when he is in a film, it is often either an absolute classic like Gandhi. If you ever want to just weep your eyes out, watch Gandhi. Unbelievably good. Yeah. Or he's kind of overlooked, and it's sad because his acting is always just top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm going to mention a few different things that people on the threads had mentioned. Daryl Sanford and Kim Roach both mentioned Monty Python on the Holy Grail.
Okay.
Being favorite movies.
Yeah.
David Jensen mentioned True Romance. Christy Bamford.
I remember Christy.
Mentioned Life of Brian. Bridget Jones' Diary. The first one only.
I have intentionally avoided watching that my entire life.
Princess Bride.
Yep.
Raising Arizona.
Okay.
E.T. And then most recently Barbie.
Okay. Great movie.
Shannon Weghurst mentioned Goonies and A Long Kiss Goodnight. Les Maston mentioned all of the Star Wars except the first 1, 2, 3. I'm
going to disagree there. Like they weren't amazing.
Come on, Jar Jar Binks.
I love Jar Jar. He was great.
You're dead to me. Okay. The Avengers movies minus the Hulk ones. The Martian, Hidden Figures, The Full Monty, which is something I need to watch that again because that's one I forgot. I just loved because it was just so hilarious.
Yeah.
Princess Bride, the new Jumanjis.
There's a new Jumanji?
Yeah, there was. Right. Also, Jamie Lavoisier, The Martian, Robin Rich Malloy mentioned Caddyshack. Becca McLaughlin mentioned Princess Bride. Robin Eichenholz mentioned When Harry Met Sally, Pretty Woman, and
Yes.
Legally Blonde, as well as Blended and The Proposal.
I am amazed that you have not yet covered any of my picks, so we need to slow it down because I'm worried you're going to pick one that I'm going to.
All right. Well, hold on. Let me just read these, and then we'll go back to that. My mother,
Mom!
Diane Pruss, mentioned Pretty Woman, Aliens, Tarzan, Breaking Dawn.
Is that the vampire movie?
I think so.
God. Wow, Mom.
We would have had if I had read that again, we would have had a talk this morning. Debbie Gorey, who I knew from college, I've known her a long time, mentioned It's a Wonderful Life, Yankee Doodle Dandy, Back to the Future, which is a great one, and Mamma Mia.
By the way, Brad is our social media engineer. He's in charge of all that.
Yes, and Ginger, I'm going to absolutely murder your last name because I don't think you ever told me how to pronounce it. Strzelecki?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Life is Beautiful, Sound of Music, Grease 2, and Curious George. Ginger, we will never agree on Grease 2.
Yeah, I can't get behind that.
That's the original Grease, yes.
You know what?
Not Grease 2.
All right.
Yeah. All right, so I think I'm on my pick now.
No, I think you didn't. You just go. Nope, never mind. You're up. It's up. You're up.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this. Do I want to pick that one?
All right, we're gonna have to move it along. We only get 2 more because we're burning time. Are we?
We're good.
All right, never mind. Keep going.
We got each have 3 more.
All right, keep it going.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and say for my third one, I'm gonna go ahead and give the synopsis. Nada, a wanderer without meaning in his life, discovers a pair of sunglasses capable of showing the world the way it truly is. As he walks the streets of Los Angeles, Nada notices that both the media and the government are compromised of subliminal messages meant to keep the population subdued, and that most of the social elite are skull-faced aliens bent on world domination. With this shocking discovery, Nada fights to free humanity from the mind-controlling aliens. My pick is They Live, directed by John Carpenter, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper, Keith David, and Meg Foster.
I have never seen this film.
You've never seen that?
Never seen it.
Oh my God! Have you ever heard the saying? You know, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yes, is that from that film?
That's from that movie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is he's this guy. He ends up, for whatever reason, he ends up finding these sunglasses from this group that he was kind of looking on because they appeared to be part of a church but weren't acting the part. Gets the glasses and then looks and sees some people look normal and some people kind of look skull-faced. It was weird. So, but he would also look at like a piece of paper and it would say, instead of seeing all the writing, it would say consume or obey.
Wow.
Things like that.
Okay.
So it was basically these aliens were trying to control us and just make us their servants, use certain subsets of our population to get them in line, promising them wealth. But all in all, they were really trying to control us and put us to their will. It was a really interesting movie.
That sounds really interesting. I'll have to check it out. I guess I went with movies that probably most people have seen, but no, that's a good pick. I've heard of it, and I know like it's one that people talk about, but I've just never seen it.
I think you'd be surprised at how many. I know Jared has seen it. Jared, my favorite ginger.
Okay, we're going through a lot of names that I recognize most of. Brad recognizes all of, but
yes.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got?
All right. So the next film I actually got to introduce to my daughter recently. Thank God I didn't introduce it to her earlier. My daughter is almost 20. I was introduced to this movie very young. It is a 1986 film. It is John Hughes directed, which, if you know John Hughes, if you grew up in our generation, John Hughes was iconic. Just some amazing films. But I got to introduce my daughter to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it's got Matthew Broderick, who's very young. He's not that young anymore. Mia Sara, Alan Ruck. It's a really just great fun film. And when we got done watching it, my daughter said something along the lines of like understanding where I came from as an adult or as a human being a little more. And the main thing that Ferris Bueller, basically the whole movie centers around, and most of you have probably seen it, but if you haven't, the whole movie centers around this kid who skips school with some friends and his girlfriend, or a friend and his girlfriend, and they just have the time of their life. And but he keeps saying life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie.
Ah, you liar. But it is probably the best skipping school movie ever made. I challenge anyone to correct me. Please do so on our web. Or well, nope, can't do it on our website yet. But I did find my laptop. The website will be getting an update.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, so it's just an awesome movie. The question isn't what they were going to do, it's what they weren't going to do. And they did everything in Chicago, it seems like. So I'm going to close that out with one more line that I think is just amazing, and I think of this often. He says to someone who has treated him rudely, it's understanding that makes it possible for people like us to tolerate a person like yourself. And if you haven't ever felt that sentiment, you probably aren't employed or haven't been. So I'm going to leave that. And do you have anything else to say about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Brad?
I feel sorry for the car.
Yeah, you killed the car. Anyway, Brad, what's up next?
Right. Oh my God. I only have 2 left, and I'm trying to settle on which I'm going to go with. I've got to go with my favorite musical of all time. Meek flower shop assistant Seymour pines for co-worker Audrey.
Feed me, Seymour!
During a total eclipse, he discovers an unusual plant he names Audrey 2, which feeds only on human flesh and blood. The growing plant attracts a great deal of business for the previously struggling store. After Seymour feeds Audrey's boyfriend, Orrin, to the plant after Orrin's accidental death, he must come up with more bodies for the increasingly bloodthirsty plant. It's directed by Frank Oz, who is more well-known for The Muppets, and starring Rick Moranis, Ellen Greene, Steve Martin, and Vincent Gardenia. It's just it is all-time my favorite musical. Grease is fantastic, but Little Shop of Horrors is just hands down. And when you see Steve Martin as the dentist, it's amazing. Little fun fact, that's not the first version of Little Shop of Horrors.
Really?
The original version of Little Shop of Horrors was from 15 or so years prior, and actually starred Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Yeah, Jack Nicholson in it. But this one is just so captivating from start to finish.
It has been a very long time since I have seen that, but I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve Martin's dentist will make you fear ever going to the dentist again.
Oh, no, absolutely. Oh, and Bobcat Goldthwait is in it.
Yes. Great movie. So I'm going to go a little sappy now, Brad. A little sappy. Another movie I grew up watching with my dad. My dad's a big softie. He likes to pretend he's not, but he is. Back in the 90s, as many of you may know, some of you may not, the premier couple in romantic comedies, I argue, was Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
It was basically Meg Ryan with anyone.
That's true. That's fair. Meg Ryan really tied the whole thing together. But a film came out, Nora Ephron directed it, called Sleepless in Seattle. And it, to me, had the whole package. It had an amazing storyline that really sucked you in. It's loosely a comedy. It's a little more romantic than comedy, but there's some funny moments. But it has Bill Pullman, Rob Reiner, Rosie O'Donnell. It's got a lot of people in it that you'll recognize. Basically a story of an architect whose wife had died. He's got a kid, and he calls into a radio show, and it's nationally syndicated, and Meg Ryan is listening, and there's this whole thing that goes on, and it builds and it builds, and there's just so much back and forth, and the crescendo is just unbelievably good. But the thing that I think is the best is the soundtrack. It has so many old, just classic favorites. As Time Goes by Jimmy Durante. A Kiss to Build a Dream On by Louis Armstrong. Like, the soundtrack is just unbelievably good. So you're watching this film, and you're really sucked into this story, and you're just listening to this music. And you're just thinking romance, you're thinking love. And it's one of my... It probably is my favorite all-time romantic movie. And there's a lot of sadness because he's talking about his dead wife at certain times. But it's a very just lovely, cute story, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen
it. Okay.
Brad, I have nothing to say.
It was a good movie. I mean...
Yeah, I'm probably a little more nostalgic because I watched it with my dad a lot.
And that makes sense. Oh, God. So now I gotta pick between these two. Oh, between these three. So I've got... Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and pick... I'm guessing this movie I've probably seen. Alright, I'm gonna tell you this. I've got 3 movies.
Okay.
The Prophecy, Defending Your Life, and Training Day.
I've only seen one of those movies.
And I'm going to have to say, while I love the prior two, I've got to go with Training Day.
Training Day is an awesome movie.
Training Day is
unbelievable
amazing.
movie.
So it's a police drama about a veteran officer who escorts a rookie on his first day with the LAPD's tough inner-city narcotics unit. Training Day is a blistering action drama that asks the audience to decide what is necessary, what is heroic, and what crosses the line in the harrowing gray zone of fighting urban crime. Does law-abiding law enforcement come at the expense of justice and public safety? If so, do we demand safe streets at any cost? It's directed by Antoine Fuqua and it stars Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. There's just so many good scenes in this movie, and I don't want to give anything really away, but for me, the penultimate scene is the one that occurs later on in the movie with Ethan Hawke in the bathtub.
Yes, and we can't. I feel bad that we can't ruin this for you. It just wouldn't be fair.
I want to watch this damn movie again.
I know we're probably gonna go watch this after we finish recording. But Training Day it's a must see. You have
absolutely.
to, and honestly, it's better than some of the movies I've mentioned, except for Rene Russo and the Thomas Crown Affair. You got to see Rene Russo.
You see Denzel Washington in so many heroic roles, but in this role, he is just this cocky bastard who takes control in every single situation, and most of the time he's really just manipulating people.
But there's this element of like, is he completely wrong?
Most of the time, yes.
But you ask, you pause, and no, it's a great film. Great film.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like any top 5 film list would be complete without mentioning whether we have watched it 5 times or 1 time, or 0 times even, without mentioning the greatest Western of all time.
Cowboys versus Aliens?
Dude, how can you not know the greatest Western of all time? This is a movie about a heroic...
Oh, the Three Amigos!
About a heroic sheriff who comes to a town.
Oh!
Blazing Saddles!
I knew... as soon as you said The sheriff, I knew what it was.
So, 1974, Mel Brooks
Oh my God.
makes a movie called Blazing Saddles with Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder, Slim Pickens, Madeline Kahn, like just all these great people. And I will tell you, if this script were presented to any production company in America today, it wouldn't even make it past the front desk.
Now, do you know who was originally supposed to play Cleavon Little's part?
I am supposed to know this because I watched the Gene Wilder Netflix special, which is really good, just the other day, but I don't remember.
Richard Pryor.
Okay, yeah.
But Richard Pryor was still involved.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was still involved in the process, but he just couldn't play the part. Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast, which, R.I.P. Gilbert. At one point in time, he had interviewed the two of the I believe it was the writers of the movie about it, and they went into detail. So if you go to the podcast, you'll be able to hear all about that movie.
Well, I absolutely love this movie. It is fun. It is Mel Brooks, in my opinion, at his finest. And Mel Brooks had a lot of great films. And he's done a lot of great work. He acts in it. He wrote it. He directed it or co-wrote it. Unbelievably great film, and some great liners. Just like there's a scene where I guess they thought the sheriff had been hanged, and somebody says, "They said you was hung," and he goes, "And they was rat."
Oh, jeez. I had to look on my. So I will be attaching my top 100 movies of all time. That I developed this list during COVID, and if it doesn't fit on the show notes, then it'll be on the Facebook page. But I was looking, I was like, Blazing Saddles better be on there. I'm like, okay, yes, it was. Yeah. This is from a few years ago, so I don't remember.
It is one of the best comedies ever. Again, some people might be offended. There are some things like there's a great scene, and I say this sometimes, and people who don't know the film don't find it funny at all. But I'll walk into a room and be like, "Hey, where are the white women at?" And watch the film. It's great. It's very funny. And again, I'm sorry if I've offended you by asking where the white women at. But I'm going to give you one more quote because I think it's great. It's an interchange between Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder's character. Cleavon Little asks Gene Wilder, "Well, what do you like to do?" And Gene Wilder, just with that classic grin charm, says, "Oh, I don't know. Play chess, screw." And Cleavon Little says, "Let's play chess." So it's just a fun film. Classic Mel Brooks. Highly recommend.
Now you have me looking to make sure that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is on my list.
That was in my almost list.
Yeah, that is one that is. When I look at this list of all these movies, any single one could have been. Yeah, Willy Wonka's on there.
Yeah, you've definitely got to post this list because I'm curious. I might have to.
I'm just going to say a few of them, like PCU, which was a great movie from way back when. Fallen with
very
Denzel
good.
Washington. A Bronx Tale. Iron Man.
Yeah,
which kicked off the MCU. Suicide Kings.
Very good movie. Very good
with
film.
Christopher Walken.
Yep.
The Freshman.
Okay.
Have you seen that one?
I have not.
The Freshman starred Matthew Broderick and what was his name? Marlon Brando.
Yeah, Marlon Brando. Yeah.
So
wait. That's the Freshman is that the one with Mrs. Robinson? No. What am I thinking of?
No. So The Freshman is where Matthew Broderick plays a college student, and he's new to New York, ends up getting all his stuff stolen, so he ends up working for this mob-type figure.
Okay.
Played by Marlon Brando.
Okay.
And ends up getting attached to Marlon Brando's daughter.
Oh.
in the movie, and thinks he's doing all this illegal stuff, making some money. I don't want to ruin it for everyone, but it's really an extremely entertaining movie.
You can tell me about it.
Yeah,
later.
But I mean, you got Superbad, Shaun of the Dead, The Jerk.
Great film. Great film.
Friday the 13th, The Evil Dead, The One with starring Jet Li.
You want to know what? I have never seen Friday the 13th.
Really?
I am when I was a young lad, I was terrified. And all my friends were like, "Oh, have you seen Friday?" I'm like, "Nope." And I have never seen any of those films. And
Have you seen The One with Jet Li?
I have. I like that movie.
That's a great movie.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well,
did I just mix up Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street?
You might have.
I haven't seen either of those films because I'm still Jason. I'm mixing them up.
That's Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on.
So I think that was it. We both got through our 5. Anything else you want to add? You added plenty.
I added a lot.
All right. Well, I guess we're on to next week's topic, and we've talked a lot about in the last 2 episodes some men who maybe behaved as many of us would believe is inappropriate. And something
I apologize.
Something I think about often is the lessons I learned mostly from my father, but through others as well, about what it takes to be a man. And I thought about making this more broad and saying what it takes to be a good person. But I actually think in this day and age, it's worth pausing because manhood is often disparaged. We talk about the mediocre white man. We talk about toxic masculinity. And while these are very real things, I think it's important to talk about the ideal of how a man should behave. I do think there are things that we think men should do that women shouldn't. And maybe I'm wrong. And I'm fine being wrong, and you can tell me I'm wrong. But I actually think it's important to ask, because we are men, how should a man behave? What it takes to be a man. So I think that's going to be next topic.
You're going to make me work.
Yeah, we're going to work for this one. And I hope it's going to be enriching. And depending on when we do it, I may ask a female guest speaker to join us because I think the insights might be valuable.
We're on the same path.
Yes, I think the insights might be valuable. Yeah. So I'm going to see what I can do about that. I do want to add one final thought because a couple episodes ago, I brought in some rum. And it was given to me by a friend who I'd only met a few times. We had several hours each time of drinking whiskey and just talking about life, and great guy. But Thomas McIntosh, who gave me those bottles of rum, I found out afterwards, passed on February 4th, 2024. He had already passed by the time we recorded the episode. He had pulled somebody over in Nassau, Bahamas, and was hit by a reckless driver. I don't think the person was drunk based on what I've been able to find on the internet. Just a reckless driver. So if you live in Florida especially, but anywhere, you see an officer on the side of the road, slow down, pull to the other lane, do what you can, because he was a great guy, and kind of broke my heart on Friday when I found this out. So, you know what, Mac? Here's to you. Drink, and I love you. I only met you a few times, but I thought of you as a good friend. Brad, any final thoughts? I know I kind of brought us down there, but
I will say this. I just, said I spent the last few days with my family, and it just made me realize how much more I want to spend with those I care about, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can spend more time with everyone and planning trips because that's what really matters in life.
Yeah, If you're listening to this, I hope that you can take a moment after you finish and just pick somebody you haven't heard from, a friend, family member, just an acquaintance. Just call them up, tell them what you appreciate about them, and tell them you love them because you never know. Um, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and look forward to talking with you next episode.
I'm Brad.
I'm Daniel.
We'll see you later.